And welcome to the Dynasty 365 podcast. This is the Dynasty Fantasy Football podcast for fantasyandframes.com. If you are a repeat listener, welcome back. If you are a new listener, welcome in. We would love to have you subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. If you are a return listener, and if you're new, stick around and let us earn that subscribe, rate, and review. So today I am joined by my co-host and founder of fantasyandframes.com, Jorge Edwards. Jorge, how you doing, man?
Man, it is Fantasy Football Expo week. We are all just a little bit more on edge and full of energy. And man, I'm ready to talk some Dynasty, man.
Yes, I love it. I'm so excited. I'm, getting a lot done at work, so I can take that Friday off and get to Canton and be ready to rock. So I am very excited.
Oh yeah.
Now, when do you fly in?
So I fly in on Friday. I should be flying into Cleveland, actually. Get there around 3 or 2 rather, and then driving an hour. I think it's from Cleveland to Canton.
Yeah.
So should be there right before the parties kick off.
Nice. It is a straight shot down 77, so it's an easy drive.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I do not want to take too much time because it is full swing training camp season. There is a lot of news every week, a lot of news every day. So I'm going to start off with what I think is the headliner. Deontay Johnson signed a 2-year, $36.7 million extension. So we've had a little time for everything to come out, all of the contract information. My opinion is that this contract is absolutely crazy for Deontay Johnson to ever even consider signing.
Isn't it like lowballing him?
I believe so. He's one of the most productive receivers in the NFL over the last 2 years. They gave him just over $18 million, which is pretty good. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. But when these top guys are getting 24, 25 million, I think Deontay Johnson could have been worth 20 plus million on the free agent market. And add to that this 2-year extension is essentially a 1-year prove it deal. The Steelers can get out of this contract after 2023 with little dead cap left on that deal. I strongly feel that Deontay Johnson could have went into free agency and got himself a 4-year, $80 million deal for another team. So I don't know if he needs to fire his agent or he just loves Pittsburgh, which, it seemed like Juju loved it last year and he wanted to stick around. But do you have any takeaways on that contract?
The only thing that comes to my mind right now in terms of the contract is why. What is he seeing at the quarterback position in training camp that makes him want to commit, at least to the short term there? I don't know. It's not like he could go anywhere this offseason. It's not like they were going to get rid of him or trade him. We're seeing this around the NFL a lot, actually, and we'll get into other, camp hold-ins and holdouts in a little bit. But we're seeing a lot of like posturing in the beginning. Like, we're going to go there. We're not going to do anything, but we're going to be there. And then a couple of days later, it's like, yeah, on second thought, I'm just going to go and play and practice. And then hopefully that gets worked out. And 9 times out of 10, I feel like that's like the way to go. So, so good for him for getting the money that he's getting. But yeah, I'm with you. Like he, in 2 years, who's to say he's going to be as productive and he's going to command that $80 million contract that you're talking about?
Especially with the way George Pickens is supposedly looking in camp.
For Dynasty, though, there's a lot to be made about the quarterback situation. No Ben Roethlisberger anymore targeting Deontay Johnson left and right. Is the new quarterback, whoever that is it Trubisky?
He has the inside track on. No, that's someone else.
Mason Rudolph has the inside track, I think, or which no, I'm dead serious. Like he made some like kind of like red zone play and end zone play, and the team just like rallied around him. We know it's not going to be Pickett because he's been playing horribly.
Yeah.
But for Dynasty, where I was going through, I was redoing my rankings just a few minutes ago, and I had him down at 12, and I'm actually bumping him up to my wide receiver 9, just because I feel this is a situation where talent kind of trumps team situations. So I have faith in Deontay Johnson. He's done nothing but be a safety valve for any quarterback that's there. Yeah, man, it's hard not to trust the talent there.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best separators in man coverage in the NFL. So the dude can run a route. He can get open reliably. That is worth a lot of money, and I'm just surprised by the contract.
Yeah.
All right. Totally. So, second piece of news: Kareem Hunt requests a trade. What's your takeaway on Kareem Hunt requesting a trade?
So we're doing our fantasy and frame staff league this year, and I needed my second running back as I went running back and wide receiver, doing the anchor strategy for anchor RB strategy. And I immediately selected Kareem Hunt without checking the news, like, oh, he's holding out or holding in or whatever the term is. What do I think about it? I think, again, a lot of posturing in the beginning and then realizing, oh, crap, I better play for my deal that's coming up next year. I personally am not scared. This doesn't scare me, this Kareem Hunt situation. If he stays in Cleveland, we've already seen that Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb can coexist and both be viable RB1s. If he's traded somewhere else, great. Then he gets all the volume. So one way or the other, he's in a win-win situation.
Yeah, worst case scenario, he goes from a very good situation to a very good situation. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I just think he wants a contract extension. I don't know if the Browns can afford it. They've got to pay Deshaun Watson quite a lot of money next year.
Right.
They're going to roll over a lot of cap this year, so they are going to have they're still going to have a decent amount of cap space next year, even with that contract and the Myles Garrett extension and the Denzel Ward extension. But I don't know if, as a team, you can rationalize paying a second running back when you're already paying $10 to $12 million a year.
Right.
So J.K. Dobbins has been activated off PUP. It still seems like they want to take it a little slow with him. Are you ready to roll out Dobbins there week 1 in your starting lineup?
Absolutely not. But here's a question for you: are you ready to keep the faith with Tyler Batty in Baltimore and thinking that he may have some type of role in week 1? Because Gus Edwards is no lock to be week 1 either. So now you have both your starting running backs still out after last year's ACL injuries. To answer your question, I'm out on Dobbins to start week 1. What about you?
It seems like they're going to take it very slow. But to answer your question about Tyler Batty, yes, I'm still in. I don't think, Justice Hill hasn't had a single game where he had a meaningful role in 3 years. No, thank you. Mike Davis is Mike Davis. He had one decent year like 3 years ago. I think Tyler Batty, outside of Dobbins and Edwards, is the most talented running back in that running back room. So he could still get off to a decent start, but Dobbins will likely, it seems like he's going to play week 1.
David Ibrahim commenting right here. Oh my God, is that a Kings Classic League member?
Yes, it is.
Maybe. I don't like drawing attention to myself, but you could be onto something. Thank you for watching.
Yes, I believe Jorge Edwards and Nate Markham are both going to be managers in the Kings Classic Fantasy Football League at the Fantasy Football Expo this weekend with a lot of other high-profile fantasy football analysts. So that is pretty cool, Jorge. So don't be ashamed of it. Don't be scared of it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. That's all I can really say. I'll be documenting. The pictures will be video. It's definitely going to be a pretty good highlight this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'll ride your guys' coattails right through that thing.
You know what? I was talking to Nate about it earlier today, and he's like, man, I hope so both you and Ken Sonnenberg, who's also joining us at the expo, are great with spreadsheets. And I'm like, well, somebody's going to have to help Nate out with tracking budgets and all that other stuff. So one of you all better bring your computers with you, either Ken or you, Tyler.
Oh, don't worry. I got it.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, I will be plugging in player and value, and I will have everything set up to track everyone's budget. So Nate will have all the information he needs.
You hear that, Mr. Markham? Tyler's got your back.
Absolutely. All right. Is Josh Jacobs dead?
Man, let me tell you, again, preseason, say what you will, first game of the season, he looked good. He ran motivated at the Hall of Fame game last weekend. But so did a lot of other running backs for the Oakland Raiders. So I don't know what to make of that. Is he dead? Not yet. I'm not really too concerned about this committee situation yet. I need to see it at least another week. But yeah, they're not dead yet, but give it another week where they do another running back rotation, then it's like, okay, great. Now you have Patriots West again with McDaniel, just on a different team, and you have no idea who's going to be the running back.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't turn out that way. I think Jameer White could end up earning himself some playing time, but Josh Jacobs will likely still be the focal point of this rushing offense.
If you had to assign a trade value for Josh Jacobs versus Jameer White, would they be pretty comparable? Whereas one is going down and the other is going up, and they're kind of like meeting somewhere in the middle in terms of their rankings. Do you think, or do you think Jacob is falling more than Jameer White is rising? If that makes any sense.
So if I had to assign a trade value to him, I don't think anyone is going to go pay a first for Josh Jacobs right now. Mm-hmm. At least a 23 first. If I were to go out and buy Josh Jacobs, I would probably throw 23 seconds at someone if I had them. Okay. I don't know if they take it. That's kind of he's in a little bit of a gray area there where no one's going to pay a first, but they're not going to accept anything less than a first. Right. And Jameer White, I would probably look at paying a second for him if it's going to be a late second.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. So next piece, Stafford has thrower's elbow. He has a Major League Baseball injury. Are you concerned?
I just don't want to hear the words Tommy John come out of Rams camp, because man, this is not good, man. I'm sorry, when your starting quarterback has elbow issues and you're supposed to be, from a fantasy standpoint, supporting two great wide receivers in Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp. That's no bueno. That gives me a little bit of pause there in terms of like where you're drafting Cooper Kupp in the first round, where you're drafting Allen Robinson. Hopefully as the weeks go on, things get better. But this is definitely something where the fact that it's happening so soon, and Sean McVay is coming out and saying, yeah, this is kind of odd. I mean, normally coaches have a pretty good deal or a pretty good grasp of like what's going on when it comes to player injuries. It's like, oh yeah, just he'll rub some dirt on it and he'll be good in a week or two. The fact that he's like, yeah, this is kind of baffling and odd. I have no idea what to make of this. That should give you pause for all those redrafters out there who are concerned about where to draft Cooper Kupp in the first round, if at all. For dynasty purposes, it doesn't hurt anyone yet, but it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned right now. I mean, it's certainly something to watch, but this has been a thing that Stafford's been dealing with forever. And, for people who haven't been around the game for the last 10 years, Stafford is one of the toughest MFers to play NFL football right now. He's played entire seasons with a broken back. Mm-hmm. That dude can push through some pain. So, I'm concerned, but it's more of a lukewarm concern at this point.
And with a broken back, he was the QB1 in fantasy up until he couldn't play anymore. But he was like for 13 weeks, broken back, quarterback one in fantasy. It was pretty impressive.
Was it I thought it was like 8 weeks.
Was that what it was? It's something like that.
I remember looking at it at one point, and I think for that season, for a 16-game season, he was on pace for something like through 8 games. Keep in mind, this is through half a season. He was on pace for 5,500 yards and like 51 touchdowns. That's absurd numbers.
Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. And Matthew Stafford Appreciation Hour.
There you go.
I just want him
to he's watching, come on the show. We'll talk fantasy football with you.
Yes. Please, Matthew Stafford, come on the show. That'd be awesome.
We'll send you a T-shirt. We'll give you a T-shirt for free.
Absolutely. He's a regular listener, so I'll text him. I'll make sure that, yeah.
You do that. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah. So Russell Gage injured his hamstring in a scrimmage with the Dolphins today. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. I don't know if you were able to see the video of it.
I did not know.
I've seen people walk like that before. Usually pulled hamstrings can quickly turn into minor hamstring tears that can linger for a month or two. So hopefully it's nothing major, but we shall see. He is listed as the starting slot receiver on that depth chart. So if he starts week 1, I would say he will be very productive until Chris Godwin gets back.
Definitely one of those sleeper wide receivers that everybody was kind of like, ooh, let me try to acquire now because Godwin's going to be out for a certain amount of time. Maybe not. Maybe not.
When I statted out the Buccaneers yesterday, actually, I went ahead and I just put everything in like Chris Godwin was going to play 17 games, and I just multiplied it by 88%. Said, okay, he'll miss 2, and he's still going to be awesome. So not overly concerned.
Nice.
News out of Carolina, Baker Mayfield has the inside track to the starting job. My takeaway from that is duh.
The disrespect to Sam Darnold is just baffling. No, it's not.
It's well deserved.
It's fully warranted and deserved. Exactly.
Yes. This might just be on there for me, but David Bell has been taken off the pup for the Browns. The wide receiver just drafted out of Purdue. A lot of people like him to sneak into that wide receiver 2 role for the Browns. So we'll see what he can do.
That is definitely for you. And the fact that we're going to be in Canton this weekend, I really have to bite my tongue on all this Browns over this Browns hype that seems to be the case. You Ohio people, let me tell you, you love your Browns. You will defend them through thick and thin, which is great until you're in Ohio and you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling the Browns this year. It's like, what did you say? And then it's like, oh, you better duck for cover because they're going to be chucking something at you. But David Bell, pretty interesting situation there.
Hey, if you're trying to get in a fight, it's pretty easy to do in Ohio.
Good to know. Good to know.
Marquise Brown arrested for criminal speeding. Concerned? Care?
Moron.
Yeah,
that's about it. That's pretty much where I go with that.
He was having fun. Very, very irresponsible. But hey, we were all 24, 25 once.
Yeah, he'll get out of that.
Yeah. Mitchell, sorry. Jeez.
Yeah, get his name right. He likes it being called Mitchell the entire time.
Yeah, his mom lives in Mentor, and I'm flying into Cleveland on Friday. I don't need her driving out to the airport because she's a listener also.
Of course, naturally. Yeah. Yes. As she should be, yes.
Yes. I know a lot of people don't like to play their leagues with kickers. I am one of them. But Justin Tucker just got a 4-year extension. You know what? I just wanted to take a second and say Justin Tucker is awesome.
He is.
I don't know if this is overstating it. I don't think it is. But he might be the singularly best athlete at one thing in any sport today.
It's funny. So somebody was asking me, where do I have? Well, no, I put out a tweet stating Evan McPherson, Harrison Butker, and I forget who the third kicker was.
Carlson.
But I was announcing they were my top 3 kickers. And somebody was like, how you forgot Justin Tucker? He's an amazing kicker. And I replied, well, he's also an amazing opera singer too, if you didn't know that already. And did you know that, by the way, Tyler?
I did not.
Oh my God. YouTube Justin Tucker opera. This dude can bellow out some tunes there. For this year, and redraft him not to. I mean, he's always finished as like a top 3, top 4 kicker. I just have difference of opinion this year. But for Dynasty, this guy is like an automatic lock year in and year out. Great opera singer. That's the takeaway right there.
Best kicker in NFL history, point blank, period. There's no discussion about that. So don't at me with, Adam Vinatieri, blah, blah, blah. No, Justin Tucker's better.
What about Mike Vanderjagt? Is he even in the conversation here?
No.
I'm being completely sarcastic here. Yeah.
And we can throw in a little IDP here, as you are one of our IDP gurus over at the Shoot the Gap podcast.
Thank you.
Roquan Smith has requested a trade. I know he's one of the very, very tippy top rated linebackers, correct?
I mean, up until a couple of days ago, he was my linebacker one going into the season. So yeah, that's kind of a problem. I don't know. He put out a lot of thought into typing out his goodbye to Chicago.
Yeah, that was like five paragraphs.
Yeah, either this is happening and he's going, or this is the most elaborate, trick to try to get a contract.
Yes.
My thoughts there is I really don't have a thought until he's moved. Wherever he goes, he's going to retain value. So yeah, I wouldn't. If you're a dynasty IDP manager, I wouldn't be freaking out too much again about Roquan Smith. I'll just be curious where he goes and if there's a competition for snaps there.
Yeah, I hope he's played really well in his career. He hasn't been the best linebacker in the NFL. IDP wise, he's been great, but it sounds to me like this front office is going full on analytics and saying off ball linebackers don't matter, and they just send him a disrespectful offer, and he's like, no freaking way.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
All right. I think that that about does it for the news. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think. It's a little anticlimactic right there. No, I think we're good for now. 2 preseason games tomorrow, which is a Thursday, the 11th. So pretty excited about that. I don't know if you'd call that news, but it's news to me. I didn't realize there were 2 games tomorrow night. So fun times.
There you go. Can watch some, JV football. Should be great.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. So let's jump into our topic for the day, which is running back contender buys. And we'll finish that up with a couple training camp battles to watch that we're interested in. As I was going through the training camp battles, there was 1, 2, maybe 3, and the rest it was just kind of see how a committee is going to break down. So what is a running back contender buy? For a dynasty fantasy football team, contender buy is you want to win the championship. You are going for the gold. You are going for the belt. And you need to find someone that may be on their last legs, that might only have 1 or 2 years of production left, or maybe they are, they kind of have a black mark on them because of injuries. And I think we'll kind of start there. The 2 guys that are the biggest injury risk, that, perceived biggest injury risk, are Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. Both of them are 24, 25 years old. They're both extremely talented. They're some of the most talented backs in the NFL, and it's not particularly close from a lot of other backs. So Christian McCaffrey, he can be let go by the Panthers next year. He likely won't be. They won't save hardly any money. It'll be about $1 million that they save against the cap. So he's going to be on this team next year. Personally, I think Baker Mayfield going to that team is good for him. Baker is not the best quarterback in the world, but he's going to be the best thing that Christian McCaffrey really has had at quarterback in his career. You've got a washed up Cam Newton, a Sam Darnold, and whoever the heck else has been playing. Kyle Allen, I think, has started some games for them.
Now, do you say that because there will probably be less required of Christian McCaffrey, aka he won't take as much of a pounding as he had in recent years because Baker Mayfield will be able to kind of revitalize this passing game for Carolina? Or do you think there's something I'm missing here in terms of Mayfield helping McCaffrey?
No, I just think just a leg up for the offense as a whole is a leg up for Christian McCaffrey. That's kind of, rising tide raises all boats type of thing, Where
I've never heard that expression before, but it makes sense. So
there you go.
yeah.
Man, I got some. I'm just teaching
You
all
got some
kinds of new stuff.
expressions. You got some expressions. Sand in the pants, right? Was that one of those?
Yes, it was. Yeah. One of my favorites is glass in his diet.
Glass. What does that mean? Glass in his diet
Means he needs to get tougher. He needs some glass in his diet.
Wow. And dental surgery after eating said glass to get it.
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah. And I'll throw one more out there. He can beat that guy in a phone booth.
Beat that. What is that?
Yeah. It's kind of referencing a wide receiver that is just going to get open no matter what. He's going to get around you. He'll get around you in a phone booth.
Dude, at the expo, we need to have Tyler's sayings or expressions written down somewhere so that they can download that and use them. That's fantastic. I love it.
Most of them are stolen with pride, but
hey, everything's stolen with pride. So as long as you cite it correctly, folks.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dane Brugler.
Exactly.
Yes, I think it's good for McCaffrey that Baker's there. And who knows where they're going to end up next year, what they're going to do for another quarterback. We shall see. Are you buying Christian McCaffrey right now? Or are you willing to go out and spend a first plus for him?
No,
I
am not. We say that the Baker Mayfield situation is going to improve Carolina's offense. Okay, so we're going from like dirt to like grass level. You know what I mean? Like just like a blade of grass. That's how high we're going, from like dirt to the height of a blade of grass, let alone the top of a tree, top of the mountain type of offense here. Various sports stocks in the Twitter sphere and involved in the fantasy community, they'll say, well, his injuries were freak injuries that aren't conducive of being the type of injuries that players who are considered injury prone have. Okay, fine, whatever. Still don't want to draft him. Still don't want to give up all that draft capital to acquire him on a team that's going to be still bad. And yes, I get he's been on a team that's been bad before and has been super fantasy viable. I get it. But I'm scared, and that's honestly how I feel about it. I'm scared of this guy. He's been out the past couple of years. Whether these injuries are related or not, he gets injured.
Yes,
he's been getting injured. Whether they're tied together or not doesn't matter. He's being injured, and that the manager that you're going to try to acquire this person from is going to ask for a couple firsts and then some, and I'm not willing to give that up for Christian McCaffrey.
All right, so let me put it in context a little bit. Is this trade offer disrespectful? The person who has Christian McCaffrey is rebuilding. Okay. And someone offers them Michael Gallup, Damian Pierce, and a 23 second.
You keep Michael Gallup out of your mouth there. Don't you disrespect Mr. Michael Gallup.
That is not disrespect.
Michael Gallup, Damian Pierce, and a 23 second?
Yes.
For Christian McCaffrey?
Yep.
Man. Give me 2 seconds and maybe I'd consider it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I think that's what I would do if that situation. Yeah.
All right. So the other injury risk guy we have is Saquon Barkley. He has the final year of his contract with the Giants this year. He's going to be up for an extension, up for a contract elsewhere. I don't know if I don't believe that team is going to be in a position to pay a premium for a running back like Saquon Barkley. That's if he can have a healthy season this year. But if he has this healthy season this year, he's going to be an RB1 and he is going to get paid next year because, he's Saquon Barkley. He's great. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
So would you buy Saquon?
Yes.
Okay.
If I'm a contender, I'm throwing everything I can within reason to acquire Saquon Barkley. I know that they say out there you shouldn't overreact to training camp videos, but did you see the training camp video where he trucked that dude on that play? Like that was.
It didn't.
Oh my God. I'm pretty sure it was like a contact-free practice, and he said F it, and he just took some guy out. He's been looking good in everything you keep seeing, all the reports out of training camp are like, oh, he's back. He's better than ever. He's looking great in this offense. He's in a offensive scheme that's created by one of the innovators in offense today, and Brian Dable. As long as that health thing is good. Yeah. Well, I don't really know that. Like, if I was trying to acquire Christopher, or let me put this another way. Right now, today, if I was going to have the option of acquiring McCaffrey or Barkley, it'd be Barkley.
Even with the higher price tag?
Even with the higher price tag, because if you want to look at it, McCaffrey has had a lot more wear and tear versus Barkley has. Remember, Barkley missed most of the season, so at least he didn't get that pounding that other running backs had, like a Christian McCaffrey, who's played through a lot of situations there, which is something I never thought I'd say, that like Barkley was the safer one of the two, but he is.
Yeah, I agree with you. If I'm acquiring one of them, I would go for Saquon Barkley as well. But I still like Christian McCaffrey, and a little correction to what I said. Christian McCaffrey just turned 26 a couple months ago, so he is not 25. But Saquon Barkley is. All right, so our next little subsection here, I've got these guys broken down into 5 sections. The next one is aging, but still young enough and productive enough with potential multi-year outlook. And what I mean by potential multi-year outlook is I think they could be productive for 2 years, 2 more years, maybe 3. Guys who I kind of put in this category, now tell me if I'm crazy for putting any of them in there. Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, and James Conner. Did I miss any of those? I miss on them.
Is James Conner known for being a receiving back? Did he have? I need to look up his stats.
He's been productive enough in the receiving game. He is not really a super receiver, but when he was on the Steelers and the way the Steelers go, they hyper use one running back. His highest season in his career was 55 receptions. That was his second season in the league. After that, he had 34 receptions in 10 games with the Steelers. After that, he had 35 receptions in 13 games with the Steelers. And with the Cardinals last year, he had 37 receptions, 39 targets. So, I think that might go up a little bit. I think I projected him for close to 50 targets this year. Catching 40 balls as a running back is really good.
Right.
But Chase Edmonds is not there to take a lot of that volume in the passing game away. I think Darrell Williams will be involved, but I don't think he's going to be some superstar receiving back. No.
Gotcha. To answer your question, though, yeah, these guys look pretty. I think they all, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, and James Conner, all bring that duality at the running back position that you're looking for, both as receivers and as runners. The real question here is durability, right? Dalvin Cook, his injuries have been documented. Austin Eckler has had his fair share of concussions. Aaron Jones, when the free Aaron Jones movement came on, everybody was like ecstatic when he finally started to get the volume. But then what happened at the end of the season? He got hurt. And then the next season, he got all this volume, and then he got hurt. And then they draft A.J. Dillon, and he didn't take as much of a pounding, but he didn't also put up the numbers that he was getting when he was getting the sole volume there. So the question is, for dynasty purposes, there's a good chance Aaron Jones is not a Green Bay Packer in the next couple of years, just from a financial standpoint. So the question is, if he goes to some place that he is this featured back and there's no competition for touches, can he have the durability to last you a full season? I don't know. It's one of the situations where I kind of would feel actually more comfortable if there was like a 1B to his 1A, so that you can get more opportunities in the passing game, get those targets, get those receptions, especially for those who are in PPR and half PPR leagues. Out of all the names, Dalvin Cook, Eckler, Jones, Hunt, Conner, the one I want out of those is Kareem Hunt. I understand he's 20. I think he's like 27. He is Some people say he's approaching that cliff. I don't see that. I still think he's a pretty awesome, pretty awesome player. Can do a lot of good things in the receiving game and in the running game. And again, we're looking for contender. We're contenders. We're looking for short-term fixes. I don't think any other running back in this group matches what Kareem Hunt can give you.
I like it. I really love Kareem Hunt. He's really good. But if I'm going for anyone in that group, it's probably between Dalvin Cook and Austin Eckler. You know that a lot has been made of Dalvin Cook's injuries, but you know what? When you are, oh, look at that. It's Dalvin Cook's birthday today. Happy birthday, Dalvin Cook.
No disrespect, by the way. Still think you're a great player.
When you look at his seasons outside of his rookie season, he's played 11 games, 14 games, 14 games, 13 games. That's pretty darn good for a running back. Running backs get banged up. They miss games here and there. Almost every year a running back is going to miss 1 to 2 games. Even the RB1 will often miss 1 to 2 games. So I agree. It's always been scary because, he tore his ACL. Was it twice at Florida State?
And then once his rookie year.
Yeah.
I don't know about Florida State. I know in the NFL he tore his rookie year.
Yeah. So he's had 2 ACL tears, but a lot is made of his injury likelihood, and he's been on the field much more often than not. Austin Eckler, he's one of the oldest guys in this group outside of maybe Aaron Jones. I'd have to look up all their birthdays. But, he has a game that can last. As long as the Chargers hopefully hit on Isaiah Spiller this year in the draft and can provide Austin Eckler with someone to take some of the rushing workload off of his shoulders, I think he can be productive for several years with the way he plays the game and how good of a receiving back he is. So I would go for one of those two.
All right. Agree to disagree, but no, you make very valid points. Negative associations, are always paired with something that we've then become averse to. Mike Boone, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, who came in and played in the Week 16 a couple seasons ago in 2019, in relief of Dalvin Cook, who was injured that year, put up a stinker. So by association with Mike Boone, I am fading Dalvin Cook. Completely logical, makes total sense, right?
Yes.
I guess my concern is the concussions with Eckler, and he seems like a guy who's pretty with it, pretty smart when it comes to his health, and it makes me wonder whether or not he's going to want to keep going if he keeps getting these injuries.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I guess if I had to pick between the two, between Cook and Eckler, it'd be Eckler.
Yeah.
Because you saw him be a great running back in a tandem with Melvin Gordon when Melvin Gordon was with the Chargers. So there's no reason to think that if Isaiah Spiller, you said, is able to be a hit, that this still could be a potent player here for you.
Yeah, man, that was one of my wish lists for free agency. I wanted Melvin Gordon to go back to the Chargers so bad.
News. He had a foot injury today. I don't know to what extent, but he had
Melvin Gordon did?
Melvin Gordon did, yeah.
Oh, well,
insert Javonte Williams ranking is up 2 spots now. That's weird.
Yeah. It just so happens that Melvin Gordon is one of the 3 guys in our next little group here. I've just entitled it Running on Fumes, but Helpful. Okay. So we've got Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon, Ezekiel Elliott. Hopefully Melvin Gordon, it doesn't have a major foot issue, but if he does, holy crap, Javonte Williams.
Right.
The Twitter sphere will lose their mind. He will be RB1. Jonathan Taylor will be no more. And Javonte Williams is the second coming of Christ himself.
Pretty much.
Anyway, so Leonard Fournette, as long as Tom Brady is on that team, Leonard Fournette is going to be useful. I think Tom Brady only has 1 more year. Therefore, I only think Leonard Fournette has 1 more year. So Ezekiel Elliott, 2 more years, maybe. But he looked pretty washed at times last year. He is very, very close to hitting that 2,000 touch, whatever you want to call it, benchmark. I call it a cliff. Once these running backs start hit 2,000 touches, it's just kind of done for them regardless of their age.
Right.
And, if I'm going out to get any of these guys with price tags, it might just be Leonard Fournette. I don't feel great about it. It feels kind of dirty. Like I need to go take a shower.
Right.
But
no, I'm right there with you. I look at these three running backs and let's think about this. The Buccaneers, they took a hit on their offensive line. The center, I believe, went out for a few months. Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas. This is not the best offensive line in football like it had been for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Melvin Gordon, sharing snaps with Javonte Williams. We can just cross Melvin Gordon off that list. So for me, it comes down to Fournette and Elliott. And so if I was dealing with a bad offensive line, which running back would I choose to bulldoze my way through any blocks or it'd be Leonard Fournette just because of his sheer physical size, girth. Exactly.
It's a girthy guy right there.
Poor word choice, but I understand what you're saying.
Oh no, that was intentional.
I bet it was. I'm not surprised.
So our next little subcategory here is young guys to buy that are still affordable. So in this category, I have one that's kind of a question mark, so I'll list the rest of them first. I've got Romandre Stevenson. I've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I've got Khalil Herbert, Jameer White, Tyler Algier, and James Cook. So a lot of rookies there. And the one that I wasn't sure, I didn't know what group to put this guy into, and it's David Montgomery. And I know you feel pretty strongly about David Montgomery. So do you think he's still affordable? Is he worth buying? Where are you at with Monty?
Oh, this is definitely the time to acquire David Montgomery just because of the uncertainty of free agency next year, whether they bring him back and pair him with Khalil Herbert and they have a 1-2 punch to Chicago, or if he goes somewhere else. Now, like I was saying about Aaron Jones earlier, I hope Jones lands in a situation where he's the 1A to somebody else's 1B. For Montgomery's thing has been all about volume. So I hope if he goes somewhere in free agency, it's a place where he is the sole back, because if he's not, I don't know. I don't know if he's that efficient of a runner and yards per carry, per rush. I don't. I think he's just a product of volume, so he needs to find that wherever he goes. So I still think he is affordable now, but this time next year we could be saying, "Oh no, definitely outside of people's price ranges," just because of where he lands.
Yeah, and I hope he lands in a good situation. Again, I think this is kind of the same situation as Saquon. I don't think that team is in a position to pay any sort of a premium for a running back that, has been very productive, will be very productive this year as long as he's on the field. So I would assume that he's going to find himself in someplace not Chicago next year. One of the buzzy guys right now is Romandre Stevenson. He's getting reps with the first team. Ian Hartz over at PFF tweeted one of my favorite things that I've seen in a while. He said, "My comp for Romandre Stevenson is if the Hulk and a lion had a kid."
Wow.
So,
wow.
Tongue in cheek, said, hey, take it for what it's worth. But
is it a lulk or is it a lion? Or I don't know. Neither,
I don't know.
Please.
Neither sounds good.
Neither sounds good.
No. I don't know if Romandre Stevenson could really be bought right now, because if you're offering someone a second for Romandre Stevenson, they're probably going to tell you to take a long walk off a short bridge. And I certainly am not paying a first of any year for a Patriots running back, because Bill Belichick does not care about your fantasy team. In fact, he actively dislikes your fantasy team, and he will screw with you on purpose.
I'm sorry, did you say the terms dick slice and screw with you all in one sentence? That is masterful speaking right there. There's another word probably I should have used, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That is, holy crap. That is confusing to me right now. I don't really want any part of that. He might be productive this year, but no, thank you. And then the younger guys, I'll kind of leave James Cook off this list because he's still, he could be really competing for a starting job. But so could Tyler Algier, but it could be on a short-term basis. If you had to go out and buy one of these rookies or second-year players right now, would you aim for Romandre, Khalil Herbert, Jameer White, Tyler Algier, or James Cook?
Khalil Herbert. This guy is crazy, crazy elusive, which I hear is good for a running back, avoiding tackles, getting those extra yards, touchdowns. I hear that's important. Even wrote a Dynasty Target article over at fantasyandframes.com, which you should head over there after you're done listening to this podcast or watching our show. And look at all of our Dynasty Target articles. We have like 24 players that we profiled this summer, Khalil Herbert being one of them. I would try to acquire him now because, like you had just alluded to earlier, the likelihood that the Bears bring back David Montgomery is low, and Herbert walks right into RB1 volume right there.
Yes, I like it. I love Khalil Herbert. He was one of my favorite guys coming out of Virginia Tech. I think I've said it before. He led the country in all-purpose yards his senior year of college. The dude he can just play football. So I'm right there with you on Khalil Herbert. I might go, I've talked about Tyler Algier for months now. I was way higher on him than anyone really had a right to be. Before the draft, he was my number 3 running back prospect in this class. I really like him. I think he has a golden opportunity in Atlanta to earn a starting job. 5th round picks don't often stick, but I think he has a chance to do it. So hopefully he can do that. So I'd really love to go get me some Tyler Algier right now.
Nice. Very nice.
And my last subcategory, I couldn't think of a better thing to title this, so I just titled it Screw It, Why Not? These are guys that I think have pretty low trade value right now, like probably 2nd round max for some of these guys and significantly lower for others. Rashad Penny, Damien Harris, Chase Edmonds, Cordero Patterson, Sony Michel. Is there anyone in there that you don't think deserves to be in the screw it, why not category?
So, again, this is like contender buys, right? So we're thinking about if I had to pick one out of these awesome choices, who would I actually go in to try and fill in my gap so I could potentially win a championship? This is going to sound pretty off the wall here. Give me Sony Michel. Anywhere this guy goes where he's healthy, he produces, he doesn't catch the ball.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't catch the ball. So the PPR upside is not there. What he does do is he gets you 100-yard games and touchdowns, which that's pretty good too for fantasy football. Rashad Penny hasn't played a full season his entire career. Damien Harris, he's apparently being usurped by Romandre Stevenson. Chase Edmonds, I need to see it. I need to see it before I invest in that. I need to see him be the RB1 for a team all season long. And Cordero Patterson, I mean, he cannot be the long-term answer at running back. Like, I just don't see Swiss Army knife. Even though every single fantasy platform has him listed only as a running back now, and by every single platform I mean Sleeper, because I don't know whether at ESPN or Yahoo or whoever else. Let's just clump them all together and say, yeah, he's only running back. No, and you said Tyler Algier earlier, and you gave your reasons why you're so high on him. So for me, it comes down to Sony Michel, and it's somebody who I could get on the cheap right now that could get me 100-yard games and touchdowns, and I will take it.
Absolutely. I love that. And I mean, what, 3rd rounder for Sony Michel right now?
No, probably like a mid-third.
Yeah. I think people would pay that, and I think people would accept that. So Sony Michel might be imminently gettable right now.
No, sure.
Cordero Patterson, the one thing I want to say about him is he had 153 rushes last year. That was not a ton of his production. 618 yards. He had 52 receptions for 548 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. If you cut his rushing numbers in half for next year, which I think you can reasonably say that's going to happen, he's going to drop below 100 rushes, yards, maybe around 300, a few touchdowns. He's still going to have receiving upside. So, like you said, it's kind of crazy that he's a running back only.
Right.
This is a Falcons team last year that gave Mike freaking Davis almost 200 touches. 200
Was
touches.
it that many?
It was 133 rushes and 44 receptions. He was he was at what's that math? 182.
Wow, I had no idea that he was that heavily emphasized in Atlanta.
Yes, that's likely because he averaged 3.6 yards per attempt rushing and 5.9 yards per reception. He sucked.
Yeah, I kind of understand why he didn't do so hot last year. Now that you're mentioning that, so
yeah, if you give Tyler Algier that same workload plus some rushing attempts, I feel pretty good about that. I don't think Algier is going to go out there and get 300 plus touches, but I think he can very, very easily take on that Mike Davis role, be more efficient, and earn a few more touches here and there. We kind of went back to the other group, but I still like Cordero Patterson. I think he is kind of the same price as Sony Michel, third rounder. No, 31-year-old player. No one is paying a second for him. If you're not on a competing team, you need to just get rid of Cordero Patterson for whatever you can get right now. He's got 1 year left, and that's pretty much it. But I think that could be a pretty solid 1 year. He could be a nice little flex, nice little RB2 fill-in for your dynasty team, and he can absolutely help you get to the playoffs and maybe finish in the playoffs.
So funny, we were talking about both Romandre Stevenson for the Patriots and Damien Harris. Little notification came across my phone just now that the Patriots could entertain the idea of trading Damien Harris.
I laugh every time I see trade rumors about running backs. Like, guys, no one's paying for running backs. Right. Like, let's calm down. We've been talking for 5 years now about running backs don't matter. People are making fantasy platforms with tongue-in-cheek comments about the running game. Right. Establish the run because running backs don't matter so much. Like, sure, we can say they're gonna trade them all we want, but no one's gonna pay for him. So they might as well just keep him on their team and let him be productive because he's gonna be. I mean, probably in a limited role with Romandre, but he's going to help their team. I think they would rather have a helpful running back than not having a helpful running back.
Agreed.
All right, so we got through all of our dynasty contender buys. A little quick recap of them. Injury risk: Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. The aging but still young enough and productive enough group: Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, James Conner. Running on fumes group: Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon, Ezekiel Elliott. Young guys to buy while they're still affordable: David Montgomery, Romandre Stevenson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Khalil Herbert, Zamir White, Tyler Algier, James Cook. And the screw it, why not group of Rashad Penny, Damien Harris, Chase Edmonds, Cordero Patterson, and Sony Michel. So let's move on to our last little portion here before we wrap up. Training camp battles to watch. This is kind of how you fill your flex spot on a weekly basis. This is how you work the waiver wire. None of these guys are really going to be available on your waiver wire, but just keep an eye on it at all times. So Bills RB1, Singletary and Cook. Before training camp, it seemed pretty established to me that Singletary was going to be the runner, Cook was going to be the pass catcher. Do you see that kind of changing right now, or is that just going to be the status quo through the rest of the season?
I think this is going to be the status quo through the rest of the season. Singletary just ran so well last year down the stretch, and now that's not to say that James Cook can't do that also, but I don't think they want to give this rookie the keys to the car just yet when you still have a, Daytona level, not Formula One, but Daytona level driver driving the car in Singletary. So I think they're going to maximize the Bills, that is, both of these running backs' strengths, as opposed to trying to make a square peg fit into a round hole.
Yeah, I like it. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I agree with everything you said. Texans RB1, there was talk about Marlon Mack being the starter. They brought back Rex Burkhead, and then their GM, Nick Caserio, basically said, we only gave Rex Burkhead that work is because we had no one else that could play the position on the roster. Yeah. So he basically just took a big dump on Rex Burkhead. And then they drafted Dameon Pierce, who I was a big fan of coming out of Florida. I honestly don't think this is much of a competition. I think Dameon Pierce is by far the best running back on that team right now, and they're going to play him like it.
Pretty much.
All right. We've talked kind of in length about the Falcons RB1 discussion with Tyler Algier, Cordero Patterson, Damien Williams. Damien Williams is still kind of hanging around, but he's Damien Williams, so I'm not overly concerned. He could take some volume away from both of them, but he'll be a fill-in.
Right. Which is a shame because go back a few years ago, this guy was one of the reasons why the Chiefs won a Super Bowl, because he was running all over the field
Oh yeah.
He takes a year off and then he comes back and then things are kind of, are where they are.
There were some people that were very upset that he did not win Super Bowl MVP that year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And last one, there aren't many more like actual camp battles. It's kind of just monitoring the usage of some of these running backs. The 4 teams that I kind of highlighted here: Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs, Bears. Raiders, Jameer White looking as good as he did brought up some questions of how much are they going to use this guy. I still think it's going to be sparingly, and they're going to run the crap out of Josh Jacobs and send him on his way next year. Right. But, I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Broncos running back usage. The aforementioned Melvin Gordon had his foot injury today. Hopefully he's okay. If he is injured, wheels up on Javonte. He'll probably jump up to a RB3, RB4 for me. Just for the season. I think with my dynasty rankings, I think he's already RB4, RB5. So he can go up all that much higher.
Yeah, he's by 3 right now.
All right. There you go. And Chiefs running back usage. I've been pretty steadfast that I think Ronald Jones is going to play a big part in this rushing game, and it does not seem that way.
Isaiah Pacheco, Rutgers own, is coming out of nowhere. I heard somebody say this morning, or was it yesterday morning, and I forget where I heard it, but the fact that you're hearing all this news about Pacheco and you're hearing nothing about CEH makes me wonder the reason is because CEH has this gig already locked up. It's just a matter of who's going to be the number 2.
Yeah, I think I generally agree with you there. All of this hype about Isaiah Pacheco, it as soon as I read all of it, I'm just like, oh, Darwin Thompson.
Sharkandra Quest. I got you.
Yeah. And the last team I'm interested in, their running back usage is the Bears.
That's the one for me.
Much of a passing game. I really think this could be. It's not going to be as productive a rushing game as the Packers or the Browns are. Those are kind of the 2 gold standards for maintaining 2 running backs with fantasy value in your offense. But they're going to have limited touchdown opportunities, nothing like those 2 guys. But I really think Herbert could make a dent in David Montgomery's workload. And honestly, it's a proven fact. If you look at all of these numbers at season's end for years on years on years, the lower the volume, the higher the efficiency. So that is a good thing. So, I think it could be beneficial for both Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. So I'll be curious to see how it goes with those 2.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
we have hit our hour mark. So I am going to go ahead and close this up. Jorge, what do we have going on at fantasyandframes.com?
So at 8:30 p.m. Eastern or later tonight, or the next podcast that'll get released on the various platforms where you listen to podcasts, Fourth and Frames, we are going to have a very special 2022 Fantasy Football Expo episode with the creator of the Fantasy Football Expo, Bob Lung. We're going to be talking about what, gave him the idea to start the Expos starting back in 2019. What to expect this year, just talking about all our experiences, Tyler, yours and mine, and his, as far as what the Expo is all about. And the reason for this episode is to kind of entice you, like, hey, if you're not going, go. Next year, if you don't have any travel plans, go. If you're a hardcore fantasy football player, because it is a great opportunity to meet all these people that you look up to in the industry or that you follow. And just get a lot of insight. So we have that going on. We have our divisional previews, articles that are going out every week. We have the NFC West coming out tomorrow or Friday. And we're doing all the divisions up and through the end of August, right in time for prime redraft season. And we got the other podcasts. We're all getting ready. All the other podcasts we're talking, and we're getting ready to migrate over to Wednesday nights, because Wednesday nights is going to be Fantasy and Frames podcast nights. We're starting with us, going to the Fourth and Frames, and then the Daily Fix, and then finishing off with Shoot the Gap. I mean, we're gonna be dominating our YouTube channel like nobody's business.
Yes.
So it should be a good time.
There you go. So throw YouTube up on the big screen, turn the lights down low, light some candles, and join us on Wednesday nights.
Or, you know what, do a little salsa dancing when we have our intro music going. So whatever you want to do.
I like it. And the other pods that Jorge mentioned are our flagship podcast, Fourth and Frames. We have our IDP podcast, Shoot the Gap, and our DFS podcast, The Daily Fix. So please go ahead and check all those out. Those guys are great, and they're going to be doing really good work throughout the entire season. So
Absolutely.
Please follow us on the Twitters at Fantasy and Frames. Jorge is at Jorge B. Edwards. I am at FF Tyler Heil. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you back here next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Take it easy.